I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about the breakup happened so fast. It is crazy how a connection can end and just quickly dissolve, and it happens and spirals so fast, it feels like there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's situations where the two of you are in a good place, and then in a blink of an eye, everything changes. Before we go on, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. If you are interested on a one-on-one session about your situation, head to our website and you can book from there.
Absolutely. Click on my name at the top or Coach Victoria's and we'll get you scheduled. Okay, so I got an email coaching today that we're going to get into in a few minutes. But you know, it is so scary to think how fragile our connections can be, where you're with somebody for years sometimes, and before you know it, they just end the relationship and they want out, and it just feels powerless. Mm-hmm. You know, this is why you always have to be your partner's best option. You really want to show up as much as you can to be a good partner for them. That way the connection is strong, because a lot of times after we've been with somebody for, you know, a couple of years, we take them for granted. We don't really care about their needs. We don't really listen to them when they're telling us what they want or what they need, and we don't make the changes that we have to keep them happy. Mm-hmm. But eventually that weakens the connection to the point where somebody is just like, I can't do this anymore, you know?
Yeah, or they're exhausted of telling you what they need to see different. They're exhausted of bringing up their concerns for them to be dismissed or ignored.
And that's just some of the reasons. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of reasons that a relationship could dissolve quickly and fall apart quickly. And I had an interesting email coaching today that I wanted to get into. And this one is from a guy in his early 50s, and he was dating a woman in her mid 40s. Now he says, "Dear Coach Craig, I am on day 103 of no contact after the breakup of a 3.5-year relationship." Don't count the days, okay? You're focusing on the wrong things if you're counting the days. You want to focus on personal growth and healing, okay? If you're still counting the days, it's kind of like you haven't let go. And in a weird sense, it's like you have to let someone go in order for them to come back. I don't know why it works that way.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're counting the days, it's like you're doing a tally in a jail cell or something, you know?
And you're creating this feedback loop in your mind to keep track. You know, the more you keep track, the more it becomes a habit to do so, and harder to break that habit down the line. So even if it's try to go a week without tracking, try to go just a couple of days, you know, just try your best to slowly detach yourself from some of the neurotic things that I know we can do after a breakup. Yep. Including checking social media, including, you know, texting their mom or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough. But, you know, don't count the days. Mm-hmm. He says, "I first connected with my ex on a dating app in the spring of 2020. She lives 2.5 hours away from me." Now that's going to play a big part in this story, and you're going to hear why. Okay? So 2.5 hours away. "We hit it off straight away, but within weeks, the pandemic struck. I am a single parent to 4 girls."
Wow.
Okay, so think about this for a minute. He's a single dad. He's got 4 kids. She lives 2.5 hours away. That's going to put a burden on her to do a lot of the traveling, because it's hard, if you have 4 kids, I don't know if he has them 50% of the time or what percent of the time he has them. It makes it a lot harder to, deal with the responsibilities that come with having kids and being able to do a long distance relationship. Because I'd say 2.5 hours, that's not an easy commute.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that actually is officially long distance.
Yeah.
I want to say that the
it's
research.
official.
There's research that I did a while back that said that 2 hours was like the cap for what a long distance relationship was, based off of
I think that's fair.
what people said.
Yeah, because then
They
you have to
counted
do
as it.
2.5 hours back. That's brutal.
That is bad.
I mean, we could fly to New York.
True.
Honestly,
True.
that's 2.5 hour flight to New York. So that's tough. Okay, he says, I have a successful career, and I was working from home and juggling the children with my ex-wife.
Okay, so there's partial custody there.
At least
Or
partial.
Shared custody.
Within a month of the pandemic, I was made redundant for the first time in my career. It meant we were able to spend a lot more time texting, talking, and having remote dates. She said that she loved getting so much attention from me, and that after 2 months of chatting, we made plans for her to drive to my house. It was a beautiful day, and we took our time getting to know each other in person. We had sex the first night and spent the whole weekend together. I soon found a new job, so I felt more stable and had a renewed purpose.
All right, safety announcement, okay? If you're meeting people online, just really consider what that first date is and who you're allowing into your home that houses children.
Yeah, because there's
Just want
about
to make
to...
a general safety announcement, okay?
Otherwise, there might be a 5th child on the way. Right?
Yeah. Just be careful, because if you haven't met that person in person, you want to make sure that the person is safe before allowing them into your home.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that statement.
Yeah, it's definitely something you want to consider.
And it's better to have a first date in a public place to where you can gauge a person's behavior.
Like an Arby's?
I was thinking Applebee's.
Both sound awful.
But just so you can get a clearer sense of who they are and a better understanding.
Applebee's is like, we're not advertising with you anymore. We liked you mentioning us, but not now.
Just make wise decisions when you're meeting people online, okay? General safety announcement. Okay.
After a year, I started to raise the subject of our future together. We had both agreed that we never wanted to get married or have children together. She never had children, but beyond that, my ex would get uncomfortable if I tried to push the subject of the future. Okay, that's a bit concerning. What's going on? She doesn't want to talk about a future, right? And we're going to hear part of why coming up right here. She told me that she would never leave her family home. I could hear Margaret cringing already, right? She would never leave her family home. Is she living with her parents? She's in her mid-40s.
Or it could be her family's home. Her parents could be living elsewhere. We don't know the situation with her parents, but it might have been their home that they've handed down to her or that she's living in. And you know what? I kind of like this concept, and I'll tell you why. Because there is something special about a home that houses memories. I know there's a lot of really sentimental movies out there about like the location of your house and the building itself and how, the walls hold cherished, precious moments. So I kind of understand where she's coming from.
Okay.
It's somewhere that feels familiar, somewhere where you grew up in. Yeah.
But we have some problems here because he's got 4 girls. He lives 2.5 hours away, and she's saying she's not leaving the family home. So look at that dynamic. Okay, what is he going to do? He can't take his girls 2.5 hours away to be closer to her because mom's not going to let that happen, and nor should she.
And in certain areas, that's not within a legal agreement.
Exactly.
In certain custody agreements, you have to live within certain parameters of the parent or of the kids.
I think it's called like where the by the crow flies or something like that. Yeah, like seriously.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's like 90 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how it is in that country, but...
So 2.5 hours away. She won't drive to him, or she won't move to him. He can't move to her.
And also thinking about the repercussions with the children. We don't know what ages they are, but that would involve plucking them out of their social support network, plucking them out of their schools to integrate into new schools, which can cause a whole lot of stress, which would seep into the relationship. So all things to consider: their well-being, his well-being, well-being of the relationship. It's a huge decision.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. It's huge because you have 4 kids here, but legally, Mom's not going to allow him to take these girls a couple hours away. So how is this dynamic going to work in the long run?
Yeah.
If she refuses to leave the family home and go to him, he can't go to her. How is this ever going to become something where they live together or something like that?
If that's what they want.
Yeah. But that's probably a big reason why she doesn't want to talk about a future. From then on, I think I engaged in a short-term relationship over a long period of time. We never posted pictures together on social media. One thing that blinded me was the sex. She would tell me that I could wake her up at any time and have sex with her. Must have been awful. I don't know how he did it. She wanted to explore more of her fantasies with me, and she would complain that I would not send her more sexually suggestive text messages.
Okay.
Yeah, in between packing kids' lunches, lunch boxes, and doing their laundry, he's texting dirty.
Yeah. I wonder, what her situation is. She must not have kids. Is that the implication here?
Yeah, she doesn't have kids.
Okay.
And she doesn't want it either.
Man, I see this dynamic so often. I want to say nearly every day. It's where someone is partnered with a person with kids and does not understand what that means or what that looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
Okay, time works completely differently for someone who is a parent and is caring for other crotch goblins, okay? For other human beings.
That's how we refer to children?
It takes a lot of energy to do that. And, as a parent, you're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about other people. And so, yeah, I can see the mismatch here where she has a completely different lifestyle than he does.
Yeah.
Just because she's not a parent.
It sounds like she's very interested in a sex life, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that he's probably so busy with other things. He's got dirty diapers and she wants dirty text messages. All right, let's keep going. I found her sexual appetite a bit intimidating at times. She always wanted to have sex with me, so I figured that was a good thing.
And what's interesting is that normally we see this scenario very flip-flopped. You'll see a situation where it's a single mom with kids, let's say, and it's, a male person in the relationship that's really wanting the sex and initiating a lot. So in a way, it's refreshing to see the opposite of this, that it can completely happen, and that there are many men in his situation as well that do have a list of responsibilities and may not have as strong of a sexual appetite as their partner. I think that should be something that's talked about more and less taboo.
Yep.
There can be this idea of, oh, you're not being man enough, you're doing these womanly duties, or you don't have as strong or as alpha of a sex drive.
Yeah.
People in this situation, it's completely normal and okay, and it happens too.
Okay, let's keep going. Fast forward to our last weekend together. My ex had been having some health issues and told me that a colleague had been openly sexually, in parentheses he put verbally, insulting towards her in work that day, and she was obviously upset. That's an odd thing to happen, isn't it? Like, she had a coworker openly sexually insult her at work?
I don't know. I'm a woman, so
yeah.
I have a different perspective.
I mean, I don't know what she does for, but she said a colleague, so I don't know what she does for a career. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Depending on the industry, that can be more common.
Okay, but this seems to be a big problem. Watch what happens here. I was calm and I listened to her, and I brought her something to eat. I didn't know what else to do. My beautiful, bubbly, happy girlfriend had disappeared. The next day, the mood didn't lift and I was struggling. She openly disapproved of what I was wearing. Like, now she's angry and taking it out on him, right? I could feel my self-esteem hitting rock bottom and her interest level in me was plummeting. It was all happening so fast, and I couldn't seem to stop it. Well, think about what's happened here. Basically, overnight, somebody maybe is sexually rude to her, insulting her something, and the next day, like, she's taking it out. She's angry at him.
And he had also mentioned that she has health issues.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder what's all going on there.
Yeah.
Because we do know that health issues can impact your mood, can impact your mental health. You know, hormonal things happen all the time that impact your mood and mental health, which therefore impact how you treat your partner and relate to them. So I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. It's just crazy how quick this kind of falls apart, like almost like overnight, right?
Yeah.
On the way into the city, I tried to making small talk, but she would say very little back or just bicker with me. After a long night of drinking and her bickering at me, I finally lost my patience. I told her that I don't know what to do to please her anymore, and she had been so cold with me all day. I mean, he's trying to confront her on her aggressive behavior now. What's he supposed to do? Can't just tolerate being bullied all day either, right?
Yeah.
I said that maybe her next boyfriend could match up to all her standards. I was being sarcastic and childish. That sounds a bit passive-aggressive.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But, I mean, in fairness, like, if she was, like, constantly badgering him and bickering at him and, you know, picking on him, oh, I don't like what you're wearing and this, that, and the other, he finally kind of snaps, you know?
Yeah.
So, it certainly doesn't seem any worse than what she's already doing to him, right? The next day, she kept repeating that she would not accept being spoken to that way. But was she apologizing for the way she was speaking to him? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Seems like she's just... I feel like she's looking for an excuse. Like she's pushing him. He kind of snaps back. And now she's like, oh, I don't like the way you're talking to me right now. It's like, whoa, what about all the things you've been doing to me?
Yeah.
Is she apologizing? I don't think so. Something feels off.
And it does take awareness enough to notice when you're projecting something onto someone else. Oftentimes in projection, it is a psychological mechanism to protect ourselves. So we're not going to be as aware of what's going on. Just like in denial, you know, to be aware of denial, you have to face the real issue. And so same with projection. You know, I think she might be projecting some of her anger, displacing some of her anger towards him. And now this is becoming a miscommunication, and now they're arguing about arguing.
So he said that he apologized. I started telling her my darkest thoughts and how I struggle with life sometimes. Boy, this just doesn't seem the time to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it already seems like for whatever reason her attraction level had dropped. And now he's opening up about all these things. And I don't know. She already feels like... I feel like she's already checked out. Like overnight almost. But I don't know. This isn't going to help.
And it sounds like he started to tell her his dark thoughts and how he struggles almost as an explanation, maybe even a justification for how he snapped at her. You know, why would you bring those things up during this kind of conversation? You know,
maybe he was trying to guilt her. Maybe like he felt like he was losing her, so he was trying to guilt her into staying, like pity. You know what I mean? Sometimes people do that. She said that she didn't think she could face having another relationship after this one, or go back to an ex again. It's an odd thing to say.
After this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So hinting towards an end here.
Yeah. Or go back to an ex. It's like I'm hinting I'm breaking up with you and I'm not going to go back with you. Very odd. Very odd to do. She gathered up all her belongings that she kept at my place, and she gave me her key to my house. She tried to climb on top of me at one stage, but I pulled away. I think I was in shock.
Oh my gosh.
I think you shouldn't have pulled away.
This almost feels like there's a, what are those things on The Price is Right?
Like the wheel? Like you're spinning the wheel?
Yes. It feels like spinning the wheel, and then there's all these different emotions and moods and behaviors, and she's just spinning it and see what comes out. You know, it seems really erratic. One moment she's climbing on top of him, feeling the excitement, the passion of, oh, this argument, maybe this is makeup sex, what's going to happen next? And then the next minute she's saying, well, you know, when we break up, then this is what I'm going to do.
And I'm never going back with the next one.
Okay.
All right. 2 weeks passed and I called her. It was tense and awkward. We were focused on the breakup weekend, but we were stuck in our positions. We were texting after that, but it was cold. Another 2 weeks passed, and I realized that I had not returned my key to her house. Boy, if this doesn't feel like an indirect direct coming from him, I don't know what is. So my crazy brain rationalized that this would be the perfect excuse to post it to her with a handwritten letter. 4 days later, she sent me a long text message to break up properly. I finally had the breakup that I had pushed for, and now I could go into no contact. Not, however, before sending one quick text, "Thank you for letting me go." It's an odd thing to say because it's not really what he wants.
And I'd be more curious to hear about the part where he says the breakup that I pushed for. I wonder if there was more to what he had said that might have been more passive aggressive rather than, oh, well, tell your next boyfriend this or that. I wonder if there was more to that conversation that might have been left out.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some other stuff here. But if you're hearing any coach telling you to reach out to your ex and say, "Thank you for letting me go," don't say that. Don't say that. I've not heard anybody say that before, but you never know what's out there, right?
Yeah.
Don't say "thank you for letting me go," please.
If you're trying to repair it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. My ex continues to follow me on Instagram and watch my stories. In December, Instagram started showing me content that my ex was liking. It's odd.
Okay.
I didn't think Instagram did that anymore.
I don't know. The algorithm is a mind of its own.
Interesting. This content was very negative about ex-boyfriends, and one basically saying that he, quote unquote, destroyed her life. I mean, is she unconsciously liking these things because she feels like he did these things to her?
Or is he viewing her liking these things as something about him? You know, this could be completely unrelated to their relationship at all. Could be a different relationship that's triggering her or whatever that she resonates with that post. So it can get tricky with social media and likes. I know many of you really read into every little activity that your ex does, you know, and you see it through the lens of, oh, I just was broken up with, this means this and that means that. We don't know.
Yeah. I stopped following her. She still follows me. I'm confused about why the dumper would be so angry with the dumpee. That is an interesting question here. We don't know how angry she is, but she does seem angry at him because she, basically ended this kind of overnight, at least the way he describes it. Unless there was something that he missed that she had told him, or he had done something that she didn't tell him. Maybe that's possible. I mean, why is she so angry at this guy?
She was also sexually harassed at work just recently.
Yeah.
And we don't know what else that could have triggered inside of her. Maybe she had negative past experiences with men, that the comments that this coworker was saying brought those memories back up in her. We don't know. You know, I think her reaction is telling, though. You know, we say if it's hysterical, it's historical.
There you go.
So I think there's something to that. You know, we're seeing her getting snippy with him, seemingly for no reason. You know, it would make me ask a lot more questions and see what's going on.
Yep. Is it possible that we had a trauma bond? Not seeing that. I'm not sure where he came up with that. I mean, they were together for, 3.5 years? 4 years or something like that? In addition to my ex having a very abusive relationship with her first serious boyfriend, she witnessed her younger brother being killed by a truck when she was very young. Oh, that is horrible.
And both of those things can be highly traumatic. You know, an abusive relationship with her first serious boyfriend and watching a family member being killed. You know, those are traumatic
that's awful.
Events. You know, to recover from that, to heal from that emotionally, I can't imagine what that's like.
Her father passed away with a rare illness a year before we met, and also a disabled child that she cared for in her job. My father was weak, irritable, and emotionally distant. My mother was overbearing and controlling with narcissistic tendencies. I grew up as a mammy's boy, and it's been hard work learning how to be the man that a woman can truly love. My question is this: if my ex did come back, and even if I did everything right, isn't it all too late? I'm not sure why he thinks that. In other words, she has seen the worst beta version of me for years. How would no contact erase, change it, or change all of that? I would want to be 100% in my masculine now, and I'm not sure that it would work. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure we can gather where he's watching some videos. Be careful about the stuff that you see out there. A lot of the people that give advice often have issues with their own mother. And so they're very angry and hostile towards women because of their the dynamic they had with their own mother. Okay? And there's a lot of anger towards mothers. And so that comes out in the dating relationship advice.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like he wants to be a more confident version of himself. It sounds like he wants to be able to handle his partner bickering with him, his partner making sly comments at him in a more secure way. That's more of what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a better way to look at it.
Trying to reframe here.
Then some of the things that
and it's hard,
he's seeing.
you know, because I can see him in a position, you know, single father, 4 children who are girls, being a girl dad. You know, I wonder if him using that language of wanting to be 100% in his masculinity, if he feels emasculated in this relationship, if he feels emasculated by being rejected by her, you know, and how that's framing how he views this entire situation. You know, we're objective third parties. We're looking at this. We're not feeling those same types of emotions that he is, those same types of sentiments. So we can look at this in a more balanced view and say, okay, what's going on within her? What's going on within him? And how are these two things playing together to create this conflict and this separation?
It seems like his fear is, like, from his perspective, I was a weak beta guy with my girlfriend for years. She lost attraction for me, and I feel like it's too late, that no contact won't, quote unquote, erase those memories. Well, that's not how human beings work. We don't erase things. There's no clean slates. There's no clean slate messages. You know, you're not going to forget things. I mean, they become less important over time, generally. But if you show up as a confident guy who's trying to repair things like an adult, that can help recreate attraction again. But there's a big problem here. She still lives 2.5 hours away. She still doesn't want to leave the family home, and you got 4 girls that you can't leave. So is the dynamic gonna work where it's continuing to stay a long distance relationship, essentially probably forever? Right?
Yeah.
So it's tough.
And that in itself is a huge negotiation. You know, that takes your partner being able to say what they want, you being able to say what you want, and being able to have that conversation. A lot of times there's going to be disagreements in those things. Can you handle your partner saying, you know, the truth about how they feel and being very straightforward with some things? It sounds like she might have some issues with communication, and likewise for him. Can we cut through this passive aggressiveness to say, what's really going on here? You know, I can see that you're hurt. Why are you talking to me in this way?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in this situation, I would definitely leave her alone because of how aggressive and kind of hostile she was towards him. And we can't really tell why. But I think if he continues to try and reach out to her, she's just going to get more hostile and aggressive. So I think we need to see that she's wanting to communicate with him, and that she's going to open up about what was bothering her, either about the relationship or why she had been so angry with him all of a sudden, and why she just let this fall apart. I mean, her perspective may be, I've been telling you for 2 years that we've had these issues and you haven't changed these things. We didn't hear that in the email, but there could have been some of that going on there too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. And I do think, what would happen if the two of you did live closer? What would happen if the two of you did manage somehow to live in the same space?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how would she deal with stress? How would she deal with other people saying negative things to her, whether it is sexual harassment, whether it is, you know, a bad day at work, whether it is, you know, illness, other stressful things that can happen in life, and how would he be there to support her? You know, would he be able to recognize, okay, her anger right now, it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can I protect myself, support her, keep a healthy distance for now, and not strike back? So these are hard skills, man. There's no easy answer for this.
Yeah. You know, before we end this one, I just want to say that at no point have we seen any kind of adult kind of communication from her towards this falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
So makes me wonder if there's more to the story that we don't have here.
I wonder that too. Especially with, you know, the higher sex drive. I wonder what's going on there.
Yep.
Not that that's necessarily pathological. You know, I don't want to say that that's bad and wrong, but
yeah.
I would just be curious, just
something to consider.
Mm-hmm, something to consider. You know, is she getting her needs met too? How would she have liked to be supported through that experience of being sexually harassed?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's more conversations to be had here. And I also do want to say too, just on that masculinity thing again, because I can't shake it, thinking about what it takes to be a single father of 4 kids. You know, I don't curse often on this channel, but that's pretty badass, okay? You have to be very organized. You have to be able to take action, to be directive. You know, being a parent to 1 kid is a lot.
Yep.
So think about the skills that you probably do have. You know, think about the ways that you are showing up. And I really want you to reframe your view of what masculinity is. Really, you need a partner who's going to respect you, and a partner that you can feel comfortable being yourself and being really straightforward with.
Yep, definitely. All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.